and welcome to the Fairy Godmothers podcast of wisdom and knowledge. I am Reverend Elizabeth Howell, and with me is my co-host or cohort or
comrade in crime.
comrade in crime.
Yes, I'm Reverend Cynthia. I am here as the fairy godmother of mayhem and snark.
Which we all need a little bit of that in our lives, for sure.
So what's coming up?
Well, we want to welcome guests back today, and we're kind of getting into the mood. If you can see, I'm wearing a sorting hat, kind of getting myself into the mood of Halloween upcoming.
Yeah, and yours truly forgot her hat, totally.
Yeah, right. But you'll wear that next time.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, so we're here to share a little bit. Our topic really is going to be on Halloween and Samhain, but we're going to talk about haunted spaces in Medina County, Ohio. And several years I have been, with the help of Reverend Cynthia, we've been doing and hosting a ghost walk tour down in Lodi, Ohio, and learned a lot of interesting haunting information, sightings, and other things there. So
and some stuff that goes back like before the white people, so to speak,
yeah,
came to Medina County.
Right. We learned about there was a mound right in downtown Lodi, what the bank is built on now, and that was actually a huge Native American burial mound, and it had in it supposedly a giant skeleton, not just a normal skeleton, but one of a giant. So there's lots of cool information out there. Medina County has long been reviewed and had been, people have done ghost investigations within a lot of buildings throughout Medina City, Brunswick, Valley City, Lodi, Hinckley. There's a gentleman, Brandon Masuli. I'm going to say that wrong. I always get it wrong. But Brandon he wrote a book, and it's called Haunted Medina. Masulo. I am sorry, Brandon, I butchered your name. Please forgive me.
I may not have pronounced it right either, but I think it was a little closer.
But he wrote a book called Haunted Medina, Medina County, Ohio. It's a really informative book as far as he has gone in on his own, checked out rumors or supposed hauntings throughout the Medina County. And I'm going to just kind of go over just a few of those in just a few minutes, because I do want to get in the cosmic traffic report really quick. And we're going to be talking about an upcoming solar eclipse in Libra. And that is coming in October 2nd. And the actual eclipse is at 2:45 p.m., but you will kind of see it up in the sky. And this is part of the new moon aspect. This is a solar eclipse that's going to be in Libra, but it will be affecting the people who have early birthdays in Aries, Capricorn, and Cancer. So lunar eclipses are very powerful, and this is part of a Sirius, what they call Sirius cycle, which is a 19-year cycle of eclipses, lunar and solar, that has started. We had last year solar eclipses and lunar eclipses in Aries and Libra, and now in this year we're having them in Aries and Libra. So everyone who was affected by that solar eclipse on April 8th, a lot of people felt that energy, not just because it got dark, but also because it brought up a lot of emotions and other things like that. We are going to be dealing with those emotions again. So if you haven't worked on those emotions from April, it's time to get out the tools to kind of help yourself kind of get through that energy.
What do you mean by tools?
Healing tools. Getting to your therapist, journaling, going out in nature, walking, forgiveness, whatever you need to do to get some healing work done. Not just therapy. There are all kinds of, shamanic healing, which you would know a little bit about.
Well, that would be a discussion for another day, but just basically doing what feels right for you.
Correct. And also upcoming October 6th, we're going to have the planet Mercury will square the planet Mars at 17 degrees. It'll be a Libra Cancer energy. So what that is going to be about will be a lot of impulsive energy for that day. We want to be careful of basically people overacting or overreacting. They might be a lot of intense energy in general, so you want to watch people making knee-jerk decisions about work or your family or your friends. This does affect the Aries, the Libras, the Cancers, and the Capricorns. Also coming up on October 9th, Jupiter, the planet of good luck and good fortune, education, expansion, and growth, is in the sign of Gemini and will begin its retrograde, its yearly retrograde. So retrograde means going backwards or appearing in the sky to be moving backwards. That's actually called the Doppler effect, and it's really not moving backwards, but from Earth, it appears to be moving backwards. This retrograde will affect the Geminis, the Sagittarians, the Pisces, and the Virgo. So you guys kind of buckle up a little bit if you can. Mercury will move into the sign of Scorpio on October 13th. So
Your sign.
Yeah, it'll actually, yay, I can actually maybe speak at some time. The planet of communication will now move into a more critical and skeptical energy. We may feel like investigating other people's motives and may be suspicious of other people's activities or actions. Our opinions may become very strong, and we may have a hard time, difficult changing our opinions. So we need to be more flexible during this time period. And it is a good time for people to, basically investigate things that they of interest, like since it's Halloween season, how about, the occult or metaphysics or, ghosts, or investigating something new in that area. We're not saying getting all crazy, but
Oh, but there's some people that Halloween is all about getting crazy.
that is true.
We know a lot of them.
Yes. And so this is a good time for the Scorpions, a little bit rough for the Tauruses, but, and it might be challenging for the Leos and the Aquarians. So we'll just kind of keep that in mind, but I want everyone to be ready for this eclipse. I would just say for this eclipse on October 2nd, to meditate, to go inward, to pray, to do things for, internally, do things more internally. So.
Did you want to talk about Samhain yet, or should we wait till next time for that?
I think maybe next time we'll talk about Samhain, but I do, since we are at the BAT station, I just wanted to bring up bats.
Good segue there. Excellent segue.
I want to talk about bats.
Bats.
Tell me about bats.
Well, bats don't really have technically a lot to do, I don't think, with Halloween or Samhain. It comes in more from mythology of our cinema and
Yeah.
what people have made out the bats to be, because they're a night creature. They come, they're in the caves, and they made this whole thing about vampires turning into bats, which was, I don't think, ever really a thing until good old cinema took over. But they are creatures of the night. They come out at dusk because that's when what they eat comes out. That's when the mosquitoes and the little no-see-ums and all those little buglies that they eat. But one of the big things that I find very interesting about bats in meaning, and it kind of fits into the season as well, is the fact that they hang upside down in the cave. Bats actually cannot walk on their legs. Their bones are too brittle. They're made to hang, not walk. And being smaller and more brittle allows them to be lighter weight, easier to fly, so they don't invest a lot of in heavier bones like that. But hanging upside down talks about looking at life or things around you in a different way, getting a different view of things. Mm-hmm. Coming out of a cave is about, coming out of our own darkness into our own light. Sometimes this is like what we call shadow work. We've discussed kind of a little bit before. It's like bring the stuff out that maybe in the past we couldn't handle. We can bring them out into the light, and everybody, you can get a better look at it. And it's like, okay, why at the time did this scare me? Why couldn't I handle it? Well, it might have been you were 4 years old. You didn't have the perspective to handle that kind of stuff. So you bring it up, you examine it, you can forgive yourself for whatever part you played in what happened, and just let it go. And you'll find yourself being a lot lighter in the long run, but it does start with looking at things from a different point of view.
Yeah. That bats. I also to me they do also represent that rebirth, regeneration.
Yeah, coming out of the cave, coming out of Mother Earth's womb.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's more a shamanic look at it.
right. And I think so bats are really good, and we love bats because they eat all the critters, and
Oh, yeah,
you
especially the
want them-
mosquitoes.
The mosquitoes, we want them around. So, so it's October, it's season of the bats. Let's make a bat house and
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I wanted to make a bat house myself, and I found out that they were a little bit more involved than I thought they were. So I was like, well, okay, I'm going to have to buy one. And another thing that occurred to me about the fear factor is so many people are afraid of the bats, flying into their hair because they can't see it. Their eyesight is actually really pretty good.
oh.
No, they're not trying to get into your hair. They're trying to get into the bugs that are flying around you. So,
Yeah.
just be aware, understand that, there's very little about a bat that really needs to be afraid of.
Well, cool. Yeah. So next time you see a bat, say hi.
Yeah,
And you're our friend. You're our
offer them up
friend.
all the mosquitoes in your yard.
Yeah, definitely. We do that. So, and I haven't seen too many bats this year, which has been, normally we have a lot in our yard, but we've had a little bit less. So take care of those bats, please. Yeah. So we're going to segue on into, this is the Fairy Godmothers podcast of wisdom and knowledge, and we have an email. So if you have questions that you want us to answer on air, email us. We will address those. Next show or two, we are also going to be doing readings for people, live readings, and we'll have it set up where people can call in. So we'll announce on not the website, but we'll announce on Facebook.
Yeah, I haven't got the Facebook page done just yet. I was fighting with it and decided, okay, this wasn't the time to do it. So, in the next week I'll have that up. So by the time this airs, there should be a Facebook page for it.
Awesome.
We do have the email address, which is the fairygodmotherspod@gmail.com. And please, send up anything that you want to share with us, or you want us to address. You have a question. That's the best place to get a hold of us.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and please do. So now we're going to talk a little bit more here about the haunted Medina County, Ohio.
Ohio, yes.
Just to go back to, I started out doing readings and healings at the Purple Lotus back in '91, and that was located on Pearl Road, 42, between North Medina but south of Brunswick. And we had some quite interesting stories coming in, people coming in from all over, really. But there was particularly people would come in and ask, hey, I'm seeing a shadow in my house, or I'm having weird things happen, or we really believe our restaurant is haunted. And
yeah, we come in the morning and the pans are all over, and all the cupboard doors are open. So.
Right, and so I guess I'm going to be allowed to kind of pinpoint a few of the restaurants and some of the locations here in Medina that I've had to do investigations or cleanses, and I've actually dragged you to a couple as well.
A couple, yeah. Not you had done so many before before you started dragging me along. So.
But I
still love hearing the stories.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, and I would say I want to touch base about the one in particular. It would have been the old Pine Tree Tavern, which is now a steakhouse, and I can't remember its name. Not
Timber Lodge.
It's Timber
called
Lodge.
Timber Lodge now.
Yeah, and that one particular there was a very active, several ghosts, and one in particular was a gentleman that we had discovered had passed away in the parking lot, and he was a very angry gentleman.
Well, he was also an alcoholic.
Yeah, and he, so he would trip the waitresses, he would open all the cabinets in the restaurant. He was disturbing things, but the tripping of the waitresses, they were beside themselves because they were really having a problem. And I could not get him to leave, but so the solution was that they needed to leave a drink for him out on the front, and if they left a drink for him, he would leave everybody alone. As far as I know, they've stopped doing that, so if you guys are having any problems down there, share your story, please. Another location would have been where the Purple Lotus originally was, which was across from the RPM on 42
Yeah,
in
it's
the
a church,
basement.
a church now, I believe.
No, this is further, when Sylvia first opened the Purple Lotus, it was in the basement of her house.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so this is like way back, and there was a cottage in the front by the road, and the several renters of that cottage had come down to the Purple Lotus to complain about just some really crazy things going on: doors opening and closing, windows opening and closing, loud noises, frightening, like seeing a big spider on the ceiling. So that was kind of interesting, and we felt that that property, and also to the south of that property, there had to have been some type of haunting, which I discovered later that a woman had been kidnapped from a grocery store and had been murdered on that property. Discovered
how
that
horrible.
later. So, or a body was discovered. So we kind of felt that there was maybe some connection with that. I'm not sure about other places in Brunswick. I've done a few just ghost cleansings. But I understood that there was a mansion at one time towards the center of Brunswick at 303 and 42 that people could see figures inside and lights inside this abandoned house or mansion that's since been torn down, but I don't know for sure, what the exact sightings were.
So if anybody out there in Brunswick has any issues or stories, please send them in. We'd love to have them.
Yeah. So we know, and everybody kind of will go through some of the standard Medina County haunting areas. There's the Crybaby Bridge in Valley City, in Abbeville, right off of Abbeville Road. Supposedly, if you drive or get underneath it, you hear a baby crying. There's the witches. There's the cemetery that is located off of Myrtle Hill, which supposedly has the witches' ball, and supposedly this black big onyx ball is where.
Oh yeah, that's a big story in Medina County, especially around young people.
Yeah, to go and touch it, you might get cursed or other things like that. There's also some stories here about the backyard. Used to be, was it Johnny's Pub or something? I can't.
Actually, when I first moved to Brunswick, I think it was still a butcher shop.
Butcher shop, yeah. There are some stories that people have said that they have had experiences, someone touching them, hearing voices, having objects move. Not been 100% verified by a ghost investigation. I think that would be interesting for some people to do. Also in Brunswick, there are some stories or rumors about Plum Creek Parkway, that there's supposed to be some specter or some kind of like a figure walking around that area.
Oh, I love walking in Plum Creek Park.
I've
never felt anything.
Yeah, I mean, only thing I know about, what we would have people come to the Purple Lotus and complain about was more about UFOs coming in and out of Brunswick Lake. Now, I don't have any pictures, but we had a few eyewitnesses of a UFO coming in and out of the lake.
Cool.
That's not haunted, but hey,
I wouldn't have thought that Brunswick Lake would be big enough for it.
Right. Like, how would you hide one in there? Have no idea. We also know for pretty much a fact the Hinckley Library has been considered a haunted location for years now, and there actually have been some verifiable ghost investigations there.
Weren't you one time scheduled to go in and do a ghost hunt there?
Yeah.
And it somehow got canceled?
Yeah. And so supposedly there's a woman, a librarian, that is seen inside. Supposedly there's the man whose house that was, his sister died a tragic death, and so therefore that could be part of the haunting. The library has, I think, since been closed. I'm not sure, 100% sure. We also want to add, I don't know if anybody heard about the quote-unquote the phantom of Interstate 71. But that is the ghost hitchhiker, and it's very legendary because actually a highway patrol officer had witnessed this phantom walking down 71 and stopped, and the man disappeared. So there have been rumors, or there have been stories that people have actually picked this hitchhiker up, got in the car, and then he disappeared.
Freaky.
Man, he was wearing a trench coat, kind of a dark trench coat, dark hat, has been seen also between 71 and Route 18. So that's kind of I have not witnessed it, but I have talked to to someone at the Highway Patrol that verified this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah,
Kind of
when the cops start admitting to things, you know it's real.
Yeah. And so, and also like the big ones that everyone kind of knows about, there's the Medina Steakhouse and Saloon, which is now called Serenity. There's supposed to be at least 2 ghosts and ghost encounters there. And of course, everyone knows about the Spitzer House Bed and Breakfast.
Oh, yeah, that's another biggie.
Yeah, they do some Halloween events there, ghost investigations. That's considered the woman in the 3rd floor has been seen. Annie's room. You can actually go and rent out the Spitzer house if you want to do an investigation. I really encourage people, if you want to investigate, please do.
Do you have in your notes about what's the corkscrew now?
Okay, yeah, the corkscrew, or used to be Penny's poorhouse.
Penny's Poorhouse. I was trying to remember what it used to be called.
In my notes, what we have is there is supposedly a ghost in that building, maybe 2, having to do with the original owner's daughter as someone passing.
And I had heard that there were 2 ladies that used to be seen quite often in the windows of, like, was that the 3rd or the 4th floor
Yeah.
of the place? You could see them, just like shadows of them.
Right. And I spoke to the owner several times and have not gotten very far. There used to be a couple of ghost investigators that would do some ghost events there, but they have since stopped doing that. There's also, there is down in Lodi, when we did our ghost walk to a fundraiser for the Lodi Historical Society.
That was a really fun event too.
Yeah, it was. We're going to probably start it back up. The people are, someone's a little ill right now. But they have the Historical Society is based at the Harris House resident. We have had all kinds of verifications of ghosts or a ghost in there. People have witnessed, when we've had people in the basement, we've gotten pictures, orbs, other things like that, heard voices. Brandon went on and did an actual investigation there, and he was convinced. But we also had a team, Tony, and I'm gonna, my brain, it's old, but there was a couple of investigation teams that came in and investigated their houses around Lodi. And then we did discover that the Taylor Inn, which was located on the corner of 83 and Greenwich, is it Greenwich? Yeah, I guess it's Greenwich, or 83, right there in downtown, but that was very haunted. That area was very, very haunted.
Downtown would be 83 and 42.
83 and 42, that's it. It used to be a 4-story hotel. At the time, it was considered one of the most expensive hotels built in the United States. It was marble floors, glorious. It had dances. It was a saloon, and some rumors it was also a cat house. But so we got some objects, we got some things on camera that were very interesting. Also with the ghost hawk box, we got voices coming through. Another really interesting one is, I know Brandon has in his book about cool beans, and you were part of the investigation with Cool Beans. And I did this investigation at Cool Beans, ghost investigation. I had our team come in. My friend Laura Williams' son and his team, they came in and we did an all-night investigation, and we had a writer from the Post come in, and she wrote an article, and she actually won an award for this article.
Did she? I didn't know that.
Yeah, she won a national award for the article she wrote. And you were part of the investigation because we also filmed it. Yeah. And I tell you, that was the craziest night.
Yeah, we had one of the people that was there with us ended up with claw marks on her back.
Yeah. And we got electronic voice phenomenon. We got voice of at least 5 different ghosts. We did the ghost talk box. We got the ghost. We had an intelligent conversation with a ghost there. We came to the conclusion there are at least 5 or more ghosts in the building.
Yeah, we also found that there was like an electromagnetic place in the, I hate to call it a basement because it's not really what we would today consider a basement.
Yeah, it's what it is that it is a basement, but it's also considered one of the oldest basements in Medina County. That corner right there has the oldest foundation. The original tavern was built there, and when the fires would rip through Medina about every couple of years and burn everything down, they would rebuild on the same foundations. And so therefore, there was a lot of, rebuilding done in that particular corner. So the sandstones in that particular corner of Cool Beans in the basement are considered the oldest foundations in Medina City. The ghost that was there was very argumentative and nasty,
Yeah.
and calling the psychics names, and it was a very we could not get some of the ghosts to move on, which is another thing. But yeah, Cool Beans, they don't allow investigations now just because it is a private. But here's like a picture of the basement. Oh, we can't see, but that's okay. But Brandon went in and he did an investigation as well. But to add to some of the craziness with the ghosts and Cool Beans is the owner's daughter was working at the counter, and I was just talking to her, and a knife flew out of the wood board and flew past her head. If she hadn't ducked, it would have hit her, and it hit the back wall. And she was like, "Oh, I hate these ghosts." And I was just like, that was the first time in my life I had ever witnessed an absolute 100% physical manifestation of, a ghost moving an object right in front of my eyes. And that was very unsettling, to say the least, which of course I do a lot of prayer every time I go near Cool Beans. But there's also Medina County's got a lot of rich history, and I think maybe there are a few other things to follow. So
Well, we can catch up on this with the next show too. We can continue on with it.
yeah.
So, let's move on, segue into, where can people find you?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have office hours. I'm at Namaste Life Enrichment Center in Medina, 620 East Smith Road. I'm also at the Red Onion on the first and third Thursday of every month. I'm also at Cool Beans the second and fourth Thursday of every month. And I put on psychic fairs, and we have psychic fairs that I put on here in Brunswick at the VFW on South Carpenter. We have almost a monthly psychic fair there. And
Now, October, we're not going to be
Yeah.
there, but we are going to be in Strongsville.
Absolutely. Strongsville is going to be the big fair, October 20th. We're having a big psychic fair. I call it big because it's going to have about 15 to 20 vendors. We're going to have 15 readers, free lectures, free admission. It's going to be lots of fun. So
And where is it?
at the Best Western Plus or the Old Holiday Inn at Route 82 and 71 in Strongsville. We used to do psychic fairs there on a regular basis when it was the Holiday Inn for about 5 years, and we are back. And I'm super excited because it's Halloween, and then, come out for free, hang out, no admission. You can come and don't have to get a reading. You just come and hang out with us and do some shopping and enjoy
There's always great vendors. A lot
Always.
of handcrafted stuff that
Yeah.
you're not one of a kind. You're never going to find anyplace else, especially coming up with Christmas coming on.
Right.
Start getting an early start on your Christmas shopping, unique items for that special person that's, really really impossible to buy for. If you can't find something at one of the fairs,
There's some, really beautiful objects. A couple of those ladies bring crystals, and they have like the figurines, animals like wolves and bats and elephants and things. It's just not bad. Why do I say bats? It's like
Because
a bat on the brain. I don't know.
well, they're still, I got a really cool, from one of the vendors. It's a little metal stand that has two bats on either side hanging down
cool.
from it. I'm really excited about it.
That's cool. So yeah, we have a lot of fun, and so you can follow me on Facebook, Elizabeth Howell, and that's the best thing to do is to follow me on Facebook. But
And you do have now it's kind of an intermittent newsletter. It used to be monthly. Now it's kind of hit or miss depending on, the schedule and, you having the time to put all the information together. But if you want to be on that mailing list, you can go to her website, which is elizabethhowell.com. And there's a nag screen that comes up with every page to get you to sign up for the mailing list.
yeah, and if you have any questions about more we continue on our haunted Medina County. And, if you have any stories, why don't you go ahead and get hold of us and share them?
Yep.
I know there's a lot of people out there that have had some strange encounters in Brunswick and Medina that would love to share.